out, and what our man Bellular has to say about Metzen coming back.
What a nutty day of news, folks. I can't...
Hold on. What do you mean, F? God, you scared the crap out of me, Josh. Man.
I'll wait to get stuck in. White
Merry
and grey
Christmas,
items will
Diffia.
soon
Yes,
be
yes, you too.
transmogable. I think I know what the release date of 10.0.5 is, and that isn't even the most exciting thing. So let's get stuck in. Chris Metzen has rejoined Blizzard. He has joined the Warcraft leadership team as a creative advisor. He is initially going to be focusing on World of Warcraft before he then expands his work out to other projects in the Warcraft franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully he stays on WoW
I mean,
for a while.
Chris was there at the very start making this universe in 1994, the year of my birth. So hell yeah that he's back. Now, since...
Amraz, sorry to hear that, man. Sorry to hear that. I hope this stream cheers you up a little bit, but I'm sorry to hear that. I know it's that can stink. That can definitely stink.
Since Chris left the company,
My condolences,
WoW's
my
creative
man.
direction has been all over the place. His time toward the end was mostly occupied with Overwatch, and in his absence things were briskly led astray by creative director Alex Afrasabi, who, kind of led the whole burning of Teldrassil thing. Oh boy. It's actually quite telling that the Battle for Azeroth cinematic, the one that was the, big reveal one, that was the last thing Chris Metzen worked on before he left Blizzard, apparently. And it was the tone of WoW to a T. Very much unlike the actual BFA expansion. This was only just announced by WoW's general manager, Jonathan.
Diva, are you in
so
stream?
Pretty exciting stuff. First, though,
to this realm.
Maddie, bruh. Thank you for the follow and welcome to our Scourge.
let's pay the bills with today's sponsor.
There you go.
NordVPN.com/Bellular Gaming, today's sponsor, which is available at my link with an exclusive deal and a
Divatox, are you
30-day
in
money-back
stream?
guarantee. Plus, Nord actually do a lot more. Now, why would you want to get a
Get your
VPN?
NordVPN, guys. Get your
For me, It's
NordVPN.
obviously pretty simple. Often I
Come
want to watch
Cosmonaut,
some media content
Mag.
that is, funnily enough, not available in the UK. But I actually recently saw another example of this, you can almost call global arbitrage, where Tom Scott was able to save himself hundreds of pounds on rental cars. Because it turns out rental car providers can kind of extort you if you're renting in your destination country. So he just VPN'd back home and got the deal. So that's awesome, but also security and privacy. Your ISP will not know what sites you're using. They can't sell your browsing data to advertisers, nor can they prioritize some of the sites that you're using over others. Of course, they've also got Nord Locker for storage and Nord Pass for your passwords, which is such a time saver. Of course, their app and browser extension are all super easy for you to use, and you can get the exclusive offer at nordvpn.com/Bellular Gaming with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So,
there you go.
Thanks to them for supporting our team for so long, and let's get into the video. My thoughts on...
Okay. I filled up with everything that I think I know. If you're in queue and in stream, please let me know in the chat.
Metzen then, honestly, I'd say this is overall a good thing. I do not think that Metzen is going to be hardcore writing for World of Warcraft, but I do think,
I don't think either.
He's going to be there to perhaps ensure that Warcraft continues to be a brand that resonates with the sorts of audiences that it initially resonated with.
Yes.
Right? Even just being able to bounce ideas off Chris Metzen, I think, will be a fairly high-value thing for the Warcraft team. At the end of the day, he
Captain,
pretty much
who are you
created
in
this IP,
queue?
so he does know a fair bit about it. Now, Chris's previous role within Blizzard Entertainment was one that did cover many aspects of the company, right? So he was leading stuff in
IamSamC,
2.
thank you for the follow. Welcome
From
to
the
our
creative
Scourge.
side, he had a major influence there. He had a major influence creatively, of course, on Project Titan. So there was a span of time where the likes of, say, Afrasabi actually were doing quite a lot within the World of Warcraft team, but still technically below Metzen.
We have a realm
in
to destroy.
Dibsy, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. As far as Chris Metzen goes, I think he's going to be... He's not going to completely change everything, but I do think he's going to kind of turn WoW lore into what it was. You know, back to its kind of roots. He might retcon some of the Shadowlands shit. I kind of hope he does. We'll see. But I don't think he's going to get back into the intensity of the role that he was in, but he's definitely going to kind of nudge things back in the right direction.
The failed successor MMO to World of Warcraft,
Amandra?
Titan, that of course failed. It was cancelled.
Yes.
It was then reborn into Overwatch, which I imagine took up a fair amount of Metzen's time. considering it was from
Do we
the
have a lot of
ashes of what
hunters?
would be Blizzard's next big MMO. Overall, then, I think that, well, from what I've heard from talking to people, Afrasabi was truly getting a little bit off the rails with alcoholism and stuff. Obviously, there's harassment, etc. that was going on too. This was kind of reaching a real tipping point towards.
I wonder how
in BFA.
I wonder if that was part of the
course,
reason he said he retired because he was just exhausted. I wonder if any of that other shit had anything to do with it. Amandra, who are you in Q?
As we heard from Ian in the interview with Mike with Preach, if a World of Warcraft expansion comes out now, the next
you going
World of
with Big
Warcraft
D?
expansion is already in
Probably 30.
pre-production and will soon be entering full
The Hunter's
production.
Puck.
That does mean that with
Uncommon
Afrasabi
Q.
getting the boot in and around patch 9.1, he basically would have been there from the start of...
Damn, some boys in
from the
Q.
very
Yeah, there's
start,
some
the
big
very
dicks in
core,
Q.
The essence of Shadowlands. This is not to put all the blame on him, though. I do think that you could have taken the clusterfuck that he left behind as creative director, and I do think you
Clusterfuck.
could have significantly done better with that than what was actually done with embarrassing characters like the Jailer and the entire
The Jailer.
complete self-defeating positioning of the Jailer being the end of the first book of Warcraft. Absolutely silly stuff, but if they are considering it to be the start of a new book of Warcraft, then I am bloody glad that the person who was involved in the very creation of this franchise is
Guys, when you tell me you're in Q, please tell me your name. Because a lot of you guys have different names in game than you do in Twitch, so I don't know who the heck you guys are.
there. And that he is not going to be working on other Blizzard projects, that he is
Well, yes, I know.
creative
Gonka.
consultant for Warcraft, WoW specifically, and that's his whole job. So hopefully it will get his whole focus and not just be, you know, him and Steve having one email a week. But I don't get the impression it's that. Okay, big good stuff. 10.0.5 then, let's talk. Dragonflight's first patch is on the public test
Yes.
realm, as we covered in this previous video. It will include the new trading post system. Some people tell me it's a battle pass. If
I
you
don't think it
that,
is.
No. Have you played a game with a battle
Thank you. Finally, someone who agrees with me. It's not a fucking battle pass, guys.
pass? I would say. Do you
just
know
a
what one actually
negative
operates
term to put with it.
like? They are a different thing. They are almost always a paid thing where you basically have to grind up through all of the levels, and then there's an optional purchase called a tier skip that lets you then skip through the tiers of the battle pass. So
Great.
this does not work
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
not-
It is
that's
a
not what this is.
100% unmonetized feature currently. I mean, beyond the obvious of having a WoW subscription.
It's value add to your sub. That's all it is. It's value add to your sub. It's something that we didn't have before, and you're not paying extra for right now. You're just gonna get it because you're subbed. It's not a fucking battle
overall
pass.
does seem to be a pretty damn high effort thing for what it is. I mean, if you're going to call this a battle pass, then the Final Fantasy XIV like Moogle event thing would also count as a battle pass. So I don't know. Definitions. I think we should at least try to stay accurate with them.
I agree.
That being aside, though, there are some other new features that are great. First up, white and grey gear can be transmogged, and it will be made bind on equip. Which does mean
Nice.
that if you, oh my god, what a money-making opportunity.
Let us
I
lay waste
assume
to
this
this realm.
Rora Gross, thank you for the follow and welcome to our Scourge.
Just be the new ones that drop will be BOE and that you probably couldn't start to hoard them now. If you could start to hoard them now,
We
that
have
would
a
be pretty
realm
damn...
to destroy.
Cypherix, thank you so much for the follow and welcome to our Scourge. Thank you guys. A lot of follows today.
wild, and certainly
thank you.
lots of people will be working out farming locations and things like that for these pieces of gear. Overall,
It's great.
this
Great
is
for the game,
fantastic
this
for
kind of
people
stuff.
who want to have less of a high key transmog, which is good. You know, you look at a Stormwind soldier, a Stormwind citizen, and then you look at some, you know, glowing, fiery Christmas tree of a character. It's not what some people want.
Yeah.
Also, enchant illusions can now be applied to artifact weapons, and Warlords of Draenor
Finally.
crafted item appearances are back in the game. Yes, thankfully. You can purchase recipes for
The Transmoggers and the Moonguard Goldshire RPers are going to be so happy with this stuff. Transmog is reaching elite level.
optional reagents for each profession from the vendors in your garrison or Ashran
Cypher.
using secrets of whatever your profession is tomes. then these can be used during crafting, and when they are, they will change the appearance of the WoD-crafted gear, giving you some options, so that's awesome. There's also a new toy, the reusable oversized bobber. You get this by catching 100 fish with the oversized bobber, so basically I guess it just lets you perma have that.
Did I miss you, Brittany
I'm
Spurs?
pretty sure
I thought I
though
got
that the new interact key works with fishing, so that would be a big win, and I think you can use that right now. There's also a massive set of class changes. Too many to cover in this video, honestly. We will do a TLDR with some
lots of
insight
class
from members of our
changes
team
and
who play
balancing.
each of the impacted classes.
If you're wondering, it's all on Wowhead. Check it out if if you're wondering what's happening with your class.
In fairly short order, my TLDR opinion though is it is really nice to see this amount of response
Brittany,
to
where
class
are you?
feedback
I don't
so
see you.
quick. It truly is in a way that we have not generally seen in recent expansions. Okay, the trading post then. It has a bunch of new items. This is interesting. So these include the Azure Scale Sworn Longbow for 200, an Operative's Bandolier for 250, Shard of Frozen Secrets for 200, Ensemble Swashbuckling Buccaneers Slops for 650, Fetid Bouquet for 100, the Vagabond's Rosy Threads Ensemble for 100. So I guess that's a kind of like, I guess more of a low fantasy, like vagabond ensemble.
This is great stuff. All these transmogs, these mounts. I mean, I just think the trading post is a big W. I really do.
Rosy trappings for
Rip
100.
full.
The Celestial
Yeah, Brittany,
State,
I
which
could
is a
not find you
storm
in the
mount for
queue. I don't
100.
know. I kept
the
missing
Fury
you.
of the Fire Lord for
But don't worry, we're gonna get. I'm sure it's gonna take a lot of polls right now. People have to go for work at times and things, so just hang tight. The queue will reopen. I promise you, it always does, and I'll get more people in here.
750, so that'll be awesome. Garlock for 750. There's the Infiltrator's
I kept trying,
Bandolier
Brittany.
for 250.
I don't know
Shattered
why I
Voidspine
couldn't
for
find you.
500. Rosy Corsage for 100. Iridescent Warcloak for 75. That could be kind of neat. Squire's Warhammer for 1,000. And Ash Adar, Harbinger of the Dawn for 999, which is pretty much a full month's. Now, Wowhead have data mined some Sun and Moon Warden armor with their matching mount. And
we talked about these.
Goddamn, what an incredible set of rewards these are. They
Beautiful.
look awesome. Now, the mount sets have been data mined, but they don't appear to be on the store. We're not sure. The Harbinger does cost 999 tender, though. That's a month's worth. So, interesting. Will these appearances release, like, across 2 subsequent months or something? I'm not sure. And for this armor, I really love the, like, open waist cloak thingy. We don't get that.
That's what I was saying.
Often.
We don't get that a lot in WoW.
Awesome. At the very least, this system is a really nice delivery vector for some fantastic rewards and options that players will enjoy.
Agreed.
And also, you know, there's so many things in the game that, like, they literally exist in the game, but there's no way of getting them. Blizzard can slap all those things into this too, which would be quite handy. Now then, how do we earn the currency? Okay, I'll give you a TLDR rather than just dryly, like, do a big
500
list.
for logging in,
there are
500
several
for all the other
objectives
quests.
related to completing tasks and activities on the Dragon Isles. These include things like the Grand Hunts and group dragon riding races, using the buddy system when climbing, and participating in the Tuskar Community Feast. Getting that hot soup. There's also objectives related to professions like fulfilling public crafting orders, completing weekly gathering quests. There's also ones with, like, interacting with other players, like using Happy Pet Snacks, showing love via /love to trading post
let's try to keep
NPCs
DPS
and
up, guys.
dragons, fishing with friends.
If I have to.
There's objectives related to the Love is in the Air event, so it's nice that these will be tied into the seasonal events. I think that will make those feel more rewarding, so that's really good. The Love in the Air ones include having a romantic picnic, killing a specific NPC, and some quest completion. Other ones include defeating creatures during Primalist storms, completing side quests like optional storylines, looting the War Mode supply chests. There's also some things related to the hatching of the Hippogriffs event, which is interesting to me because that's one of those mini events that generally doesn't have much of a reward. So this is a nice way of them actually finally making some use of that event. Then finally, there are some objectives related to interacting with other players, like rezzing them, and even
rezzing players. Look at that.
I believe there's also going to be ones for dungeon.
You can passively get a lot of this shit.
Now, overall,
just for playing.
these objectives that I've listed here earn from like 50 to 200 tender. There's the whole, like, log UI to present you with all of this. And to be honest, I think just the way that it's a bar that fills up, I think that's what's got people thinking it's a battle pass. It's really just a UI thing, though. In the same way that people call Renown a battle pass, even though Renown is absolutely not a battle pass, it's just using
Definitely
one or two
not a battle
similar
pass.
UI cues, I would presume, to speak to him.
I think it was just a clickbait for YouTube, but I kept seeing it everywhere, and I was like, bro, this is not a battle pass. Why are people saying this?
Modern audience. Now, your total cap for this trader's tender currency
Right,
is
Coda,
1,000
who are
per
you?
month. You can generate
said you
500
wanted assist, but I don't know who
automatically,
you are.
and then the rest you earn via these objectives
raid.
that I've talked about here. As an example, filling a public crafting order for 200 seems really generous, but I do wonder if that will be, because it's a public crafting order, be a bit more weighed towards those like very difficult crafts that require very high skill, because anything else that doesn't require soul-bound mats will generally just be on the auction house. But I then wonder, could you create like really easy crafting orders that are public and then just do them to like game the objective? Who knows? Anyway, overall, seems decent. The cap does seem like it's designed less to nudge people into new types of content and
Good
more
morning,
just to
Ed Grove.
reward them for playing the things that they're already interested in doing. If you were earning way more tender, then it would be incentivizing you to do things that you don't particularly want to do, and that's something that Blizzard certainly do seem to be a lot more against these days. Of course, with all of this stuff, you can freeze one item in the store. So let's just say there's 1,500 tender worth of items that you want. You can only generate 1,000 a month. Well, the good news for you then is that's
Nice.
okay. You can freeze one of the items to next month. You obviously
That's cool.
do not have to buy
Freezing an item so that way it doesn't rotate out. That is cool.
anything in a month, and you will accrue that tender over time. So who knows, right? You'll be able to build up a stockpile of it anyway.
Nice.
Let's talk about the release date. It has not been announced, but it kind of may as well have been. Here's why. They added an achievement for doing the Lunar Festival Elders on the Dragon Isles.
Oh,
now,
shit.
That festival starts January 20th, which, I mean, it
Back
would make
from
no
the new
sense
year.
for them to put this achievement in and then have the patch come out after that. And when you look at the rest of
So
the
we'll come back from the new year probably, and the patch is going to go live like the next week. That's what I would think, based on that.
It seems to be things like traders and their supporting items, a set of reversed race courses as well. We found that out via the achievement, which is
shit.
kind of neat. But broadly speaking, it just seems to be class changes, trader post system. So it seems they're really trying to get that just bam in there really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, this is awesome. If this is here,
It's great,
like
man.
1.5 months after the game's launch,
The content,
that's awesome. I mean, this
like
is a
rate of
sizable enough
content.
feature.
You know, rate of content matters, right? You got to, even if the content's great, if it takes too long to enter the game, the expansion's going to feel shitty. So far, things are
And
chugging
it is
along.
a feature that won't just
This is
last for the
good.
duration of a patch.
This is
a
good.
feature that will last 5 years, 10 years, something like that. It'll just keep on going. So this is a baseline feature added to WoW, which is totally in line with
Thanks, Cam
the
Shady.
broad expectation, the sort of theme of this expansion, which has been that of building foundations. Now, here's what Holly Longdale said. She is the executive producer and vice president of Warcraft. It's a pretty bullish tweet, right? But you might think, oh, it's a load of BS from an executive. One of my followers thought that as well. I explained what I thought it was, and I suppose, look, I have really enjoyed Dragonflight. I thought they've
So have
been
I.
saying good things and actually backing them up, so I'm definitely willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I said what I thought she meant, and she replied to someone who replied to my tweet by saying
Replied
this.
to a reply?
Right, or this exactly, something like that. And if you take a look at what I said, I mean, I make it very clear that it is acknowledging disappointment and under-delivery. So that she said, this is good. And I'm sure, look, we would all want a Yoshi P-style straight apology, where Yoshi P will be doing a live letter.
He's the Final
and will
Fantasy guy, if
generally
you're
be
wondering
pretty
who he's
real
talking
about
about.
stuff. What do we get with Blizzard? Well, we kind of get those weird round table things where everyone just agrees with each other while one of the cameras cuts to one of the developers nodding to the other developer, and it feels really bizarre. That's the Blizzard style. It's not
corporate-
that
the
great.
corporate apology.
Live letters, I mean, man, they're a ropey production. But there's a bit heart in that. And it does mean that Yoshi P can just say, oh, yeah, we're sorry about this. Big
I mean, he has cried on stream apologizing to players. I haven't played Final Fantasy, but honestly, that man Yoshi P, he's a
fuck up.
He's
They can't really do that.
No,
So
he's not a fuck up, Bellular. Jesus, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, and he cares a lot about the game and the community around the game.
I would say that this is
That
as close to one of
pause
those
was
apologies
very
that we're
ill-timed.
likely to get. It certainly acknowledges, in a way, that them bombastically talking about the jailer being the end of the first book of Warcraft or whatever. It feels a lot more real than that. I think it definitely reflects well on her, especially when I suppose. One could certainly say that I am a bit of a controversial individual, given my very
just a little
strong,
bit.
repeated criticisms of Shadowlands and BFA, and I'm blocked by plenty of people in the team. So I would say, props to her. It's nice to see that there's a willingness to engage there, and that also will, I suppose, reflect well on the people who watch this channel, perhaps agree with things that I say. So I just see that as a really good bit of community outreach, and of course, I am giving them the benefit of the doubt here because they're words are thus far being backed up by actions, and that's what matters.
That's right.
Miscellaneous things. Right, recent times have not been without drama. Here's the blue post that brought the drama to the end, and I'll summarize it. Recently, they found a bug that let tailors bypass profession cooldowns. They fixed this bug, and they punished people who exploited it a lot, per their data. But after an outcry, they realized they were way too generous with the ban hammer. Many thought that this, basically, that the behavior they were engaging in was normal, because
Right.
them exploiting what should have been like on a cooldown wasn't
kinda
really
fucked.
reflected in the UI when the cooldown wasn't working.
Right.
So
When Blizzard makes a mistake and then they ban people who used that mistake, that's kind of messed up. Unless it's very blatantly obvious,
And they
which
say
this one
has
wasn't.
also made them think about improving the crafting user interface and tooltips for a future update. To this one, I'll make my statement simple. Big friggin' oof, guys. You definitely cannot misfire on something like this, especially on an expansion month. It is good
Agreed.
that they have turned around these
Let's get this going, Sam. Oh, we will.
very over-generous
This is almost
bans,
done.
But a bit of a rough situation. If something just works...
Bellular
the way that it
rants
does
at
in
the end, so we
game,
won't go
and
through the
user
whole
doesn't
thing.
feel like they're exploiting or wouldn't even know that they're exploiting, you've got to be generous, because ultimately it's only happening because you let the exploit ship.
True.
What else then? Well, I'll round things up. There's a deal where the game actually comes with a free month now if you buy Dragonflight, and they've also recently changed Recruiter Friend to
True.
include
Yeah.
players who have a
saw
sub
this.
lapsed for more than a year. And honestly, my read here is that this expansion's not sold well. You might think, wow, what a
really?
hypocrite you are. The expansion hasn't sold well, but you're here saying it's really good. What gives? Well, yeah. I mean, no shit. Like, Blizzard have not announced sales figures. If they had good figures, they would talk about them. When
Really?
Shadowlands had its big launch, they talked about, oh, this has sold through the most games by, release day in PC gaming history. And then Cyberpunk 2077 happened and totally swallowed that. As for the why here, I don't think this is not sold well because it's not a great expansion. I think it's because
Yeah, I
Blizzard
agree.
utterly busted their reputation. I mean, patch
Yeah.
9.1 is one of the worst patches in the game's history. It also happened at the same time that the absolute dam burst on the Blizzard drama, and
The damage done during Shadowlands, both in the company and in the game, was pretty bad. So people will catch up with Dragonflight. I think it'll sell well by the end of the expansion, but yeah, I guess it affected the opening sales.
had generally fostered well, to be honest, a community perception that had them coming off like pig-headed morons. I'm not calling them that. I'm
People may
saying
have
that is how they
flasked.
came off
Why
towards the
would they do
community because of a combination of, obviously, design decisions, but then also a lack of communication that then engendered a perception in the community because they were being
Some
met
people
by
did,
a
you're
wall
right.
of silence. And that's the sort of thing that they've got to cut through. That's why I was happy to see that tweet response from Holly as an example. So my view here is that World of Warcraft actually has a bright future. Its future, seemingly as we learn more info about this expansion, is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. But I do think that getting that back
Yes.
is going to take time. Also,
Yes.
from a marketing perspective, the marketing of this was just World of Warcraft, dragons are cool, everyone's happy, wahoo, adventure. Now, to a bunch of us that stuck around with Shadowlands,
I don't mind the lack of marketing because I think the game itself is going to market itself because it's a great game. Remember, they did marketing for WoD. They dropped a giant, Hellscream axe, Gorehowl in the middle of New York City in a taxi cab. You guys remember that? So the lack of marketing is probably just them saying, you know what, let's calm down, take a step back here, and let the game do the talking.
What? I mean, Warlords of Draenor had a big explosion, a sweaty orc that said freedom, right? He may as well have screamed America, fuck yeah, rock, flag, and eagle. In terms of
That
the
would've been
core
cool.
messaging of WoD, it was so strong. Like that, it was uber Metzen, that trailer, right? Like, that got people fired up. Whereas, what's this? Woo! A bunch of elves! A bunch of dragons! Dragons who have been pretty underdeveloped in the actual game. Now, I'm
Bellular's
not
on
saying
some
that any
shit,
of those
man.
things are bad things. I'm just saying that it's not Arthas. It's not seeing that awesome
Pronk, as
Deathwing
soon as the
cinematic.
spot
I've
opens.
really liked the cinematics for Dragonflight, by the way, but to a bunch of people who are not engaged, who like left during BFA, didn't play Shadowlands, and they're like, so what, we went from the roof exploding, the world completely changing, to now just a new thing with dragons? What? I don't care, I don't know.
True.
So, my overall opinion, my overall thesis is that I am extremely bullish on the
Call me.
future of World of Warcraft,
True.
given what 2023 seems to be. I mean, we do expect a Mage Tower-like feature. We expect a revamp of the archaeology profession, amongst other things, of course. I'm very bullish on WoW's future. I do think, though, they need to stop, gather themselves, proceed on in a new and good way. I think the Dragonflight expansion absolutely represents that.
I agree.
have enjoyed the start of this more than Legion because, to be honest, I thought that artifact weapons were a pretty damn weak system. I thought they were
shit.
really cool from a fantasy perspective. I didn't like that shit. Now, though, all I can say
To
is
be fair, the artifacts were the beginning of the end, right? The AP grind started with artifact weapons.
we were literally some of the most angry and publicly angry people about Shadowlands and BFA. The very same people, when they're actually, now with me playing the game, we're having an absolute ball.
So
can
are we.
barely believe
We're
that
about
the
to kill
times have
Razagath.
got
We're having
this
a good time.
this quick. So I think the future's bright.
Yes.
The foundations need to be established.
Agreed.
Once they have been established, we then need an expansion that has got a very
Good
clear
content.
and obvious marketing hook.
Continuing
that
content.
will get a lot of people in, and I would certainly say that Chris Metzen is, having him around, perhaps he just has a strong intrinsic sense of what gives you that kind of like fist pump, fuck yeah, Blizzard epic thing. And if that can be brought to the game, because, things have maybe got a little bit soft, the lore's maybe got a little bit uber detail oriented, maybe we need to move things back into the sort of vision that caused this game universe to have a absolutely meteoric rise. So,
Yes.
there's my thoughts. That's
There you go.
the end of the video.
There's his
If
thoughts.
you'd like
There's his
more
thoughts.
videos, you can
That's
check
the
out our
end.
Dragon series,
Like.
and there will be many more coming over the
Great
following
video.
days, weeks, and months.
Great video. Evidently, everybody's very impatient. They want to do something like kill the end game boss right now. I don't know what's going on, but I guess so. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. I was waiting. I would have pulled a half hour ago, but I figured nobody else was ready, especially Tidewell and Godon. They didn't look like they were ready, so I couldn't pull right away. But here we go. Let's get the music started. Let's get the playlist going, and let's get ready to pull.